What is up, my fellow andronauts? In this video, we're going to talk about olive oil on testosterone. Is it really good for increasing total and free testosterone? And I want to show you a little twist on something that is an olive oil that might not be as good as you think it is. And then I'm also going to discuss olive leaf extract on testosterone and the doses necessary to get a good boost in testosterone. Let's dive in. For those of you who do not know me, I'm Hans Amato and I've increased my testosterone to 1,254 nanograms per deciliter naturally. I want to help you guys do the same. Let's get into this video. Here was a study where they used in young men olive oil or argan oil and looked on the effect on testosterone specifically. So both olive and argan oil increased testosterone. They started from about 520 nanograms per deciliter and increased to about 615 nanograms per deciliter. So it's almost like a 100-point increase in testosterone just after 3 weeks, which is quite significant. But both olive and argan seem to be quite effective. There's nothing like super special about olive in this regard, but olive oil can increase your testosterone. Then they did another study where they used 20 milliliters of olive oil per day, which is about 2 tablespoons. And it was of the Blanquette. How do you pronounce this? Blanquette variety. And they gave it to marathon runners. So group 1 was non-trained marathon runners. Group 2 was trained, receiving olive oil, and group 3 was trained marathon runners without getting olive oil. So you can see that in the marathon runners, they actually got an increase. This was before the blue column. This was 10 weeks after the training program, and then after the marathon, and then 24 hours after the marathon. These guys actually had quite a good increase in testosterone even after training intensely, even after doing a marathon, and even after recovering from the marathon, showing that it has good adaptogenic properties. Versus the placebo group, these guys had a decrease in testosterone after the 10-week training program and a more decrease in testosterone after the marathon. Olive oil helped to increase testosterone and prevent testosterone from going down while doing really stressful activities like running a marathon. Versus the untrained individuals, they didn't get a boost, but they also didn't get a decrease, showing the adaptogenic effects of olive oil. They also looked at cortisol. So cortisol didn't change in the untrained individuals receiving olive oil. Cortisol also didn't increase in the trained group receiving olive oil versus the untrained group. Versus the trained group that didn't receive olive oil, you can see a massive increase in cortisol after the 10-week training program and after doing the marathon. So the marathon runners that didn't use olive oil got an increase in cortisol and a decrease in testosterone, really altering your anabolic to catabolic ratio, showing that olive oil is a really good adaptogen when doing really stressful stuff like running a marathon. Switching over to oliperine, which is one of the active ingredients in olive oil, has been shown to increase testosterone in rats. They gave these animals in their diet 0.1 gram per 100 grams of diet. Now, people, you guys can check my math on this just to make sure I'm on point. So the average rat consumes about 20 grams of feed per day. That translates to about 20 milligrams of oliperine per day, which would mean it's about a 66 milligrams per kilogram dose for the rat. The human equivalent dose would then be 0.32 milligrams per kilogram. This would mean that a 100 kilogram guy has to take 32 milligrams of oliperine to get the same boost in testosterone. Now, keep in mind that they did different protein intakes in this diet. There was a 10% casein, 25% casein, 40% casein. The higher protein intake, at least casein, the higher testosterone went, which was really interesting. Not sure why they didn't discuss the mechanisms. You can see that the high protein diet increased cortisol the most, but the oliperine prevented that from increasing. So these guys at the 40% casein diet had a very high testosterone and low cortisol. Now also keep in mind this was testicular testosterone. It was just in serum testosterone, but it could be that when testicular testosterone goes up, serum testosterone also goes up. Now here's the kicker when it comes to olive oil. Olive oil has been shown to increase SHBG. They used olive oil to cook, and they found that it increases SHBG. So this was the energy intake was completely the same between two groups. The one group was using olive oil, the other group was using sunflower oil. And this was the percentage of monounsaturated fatty acids in the diet, 14% MUFA from olive oil and about 12.7% from the sunflower. So it's only like a 2% difference. And the SSBG was almost 30 in the olive oil group versus it was less than 25 in the sunflower group. So even a 2% in MUFA intake can lead to significantly higher levels of SSBG. My hypothesis is that olive oil increases SHBG, which then leads to higher testosterone. but free testosterone remains the same ultimately. But this hasn't been studied, but I think that's really what's actually going on, because there is a positive correlation between SSBG and monounsaturated fatty acids, and a inverse correlation between saturated fatty acid intake and SSBG. So the more MUFA you consume, the higher SSBG. The more saturated fat you consume, the lower SSBG. So if you're primarily using avocado oil and olive oil, you will end up with higher levels of SSBG and potentially lower levels of free testosterone. All of this stuff I discuss in my course on how to increase your free testosterone and how to lower your SSBG. Link for that is in the description below if you want to maximize your free testosterone. Let's discuss some mechanisms. First of all, we have a vitamin E intake. So olive oil is a decent source of vitamin E, and vitamin E has been shown to help to increase testosterone primarily by enhancing the sensitivity of LH to the testes. When you provide vitamin E without LH, testosterone is not really going up, but when you provide vitamin E and LH or HCG, testosterone production goes significantly higher. So it enhances the sensitivity to the signal. So here they gave about 800 IUs of vitamin E to humans, and LH dropped and testosterone increased. Because it's becoming more sensitive, you don't need as much LH to get the same increase in testosterone, to signal the testes to produce testosterone. These guys went from 416 all the way up to 544. It was over 100-point increase in testosterone, which is quite good after 8 weeks. Then oliperine, specifically the active ingredient that you can also find in olive oil and olive leaf, increases luteinizing hormone and testosterone. In these animals, they injected them with aglycone, and they used it intravenously. Now, oliperine gets converted into oliperine aglycone. So you get primarily oliperine in olive oil and olive leaf. So oliperine has poor bioavailability versus the aglycone has about a 13.5 times greater absorption than that of oliperine. And if you have to take like the dose that was most effective for increasing luteinizing hormone was 3.5 milligrams. The human equivalent dose would be about 11.6 milligrams per kilogram. So that would mean you have to take about 100 milligrams of oliperine aglycone, which I couldn't find. You can only buy oliperine. So the point here is that you have to take about 100 milligrams, and this was intravenously. Now, obviously, if you take oliperine, the bioavailability is poor, and then it's also being metabolized in the liver first. So the amounts of oliperine that you will have to supplement to get this increase in LH is going to be extremely unlikely. You're probably going to have to supplement like 1 gram of oliperine to get this kind of results, unless you're willing to inject yourself with olive leaf extract or something like that. Can olive leaf extract increase testosterone in humans? Yes, but it's probably not going to be that much because of the poor bioavailability of oliperine. But don't be discouraged, because olive oil by itself has already been shown to increase testosterone. But as I mentioned, it could be because it increases SHBG, leading to higher levels of total testosterone. Then another mechanism is that it's very high in antioxidants. And I've made a previous video talking about how antioxidants might be the most powerful testosterone booster out there, because the process of steroidogenesis creates a bunch of free radicals, which can then damage the Leydig cells, leading to lower levels of testosterone. As long as you can deal with the free radicals, testosterone production can be maximized. And the thing with aging is that our ability to deal with reactive oxygen species go down with age. And so this makes antioxidants that you can get from the diet much more important the older we get. Here we can see that free radical markers was the lowest in olive oil groups and the coconut oil group. This was soybean oil and this was grapeseed oil. The polyunsaturated fatty acids that you get from these diets will create reactive oxygen species, inflammation, bad stuff. So this is why these markers were elevated in the soy and grape group, but low in the coconut and olive group. And then also the antioxidant levels, they were the highest in the olive and coconut group. High levels of antioxidants lead to high levels of testosterone. Here we have again the olive group, the coconut group, and we have the free cholesterol was the highest in the coconut and olive group. And your body utilizes the free cholesterol to create testosterone. And also the triglycerides in the testes, they were the highest in the olive and coconut group. The mitochondria in the Leydig cells uses the free fatty acids from triglycerides to create energy for steroidogenesis. If you don't have enough fatty acids and triglycerides in the testes, energy production will be low. Olive oil and coconut oil helps to increase free cholesterol and triglycerides, helping to increase energy and testosterone. And finally, here you can see that the testosterone level in the coconut and olive groups were the highest compared to the soy and grape. These are a few mechanisms The antioxidants help to reduce oxidative stress. The olive oil and coconut help to increase free cholesterol and triglycerides, leading to higher levels of total testosterone and free testosterone in both groups. And here are some serendipitous additional benefits of olive leaf extract. It has good pro-thyroid effects that seems to be a dose-dependent manner. So TSH was reduced in the olive leaf extract, but it didn't go lower than 0.2, versus the T3 increased in a dose-dependent manner the more olive leaf extract they use. The same with T4. Olive leaf extract also been shown to increase uncoupling protein and norepinephrine, which helps to increase the metabolic rate. T3 works synergistically with norepinephrine to help your body burn fat and increase your core temperature. This was norepinephrine with the oliperine groups. Again, the more protein you consume, the higher norepinephrine went, probably because you had more precursor, namely tyrosine from the diet, and also adrenaline going up. It helps to increase the sympathetic nervous system, helping with energy, motivation, and drive, maybe help with libido as well, increasing the metabolic rate. Olive oil can increase testosterone, but is likely not going to increase your free testosterone. It might increase total and free testosterone in people with an excess amount of free radicals, or that people that are doing really stressful things like running a marathon. Then it can mostly just help to prevent the drop in testosterone that you're going to get from doing a stressful event. But let's say someone's already healthy and they add olive oil, chances are they're not going to get a boost in free testosterone because the oleic acid is also increasing SHBG, so you have higher testosterone, higher SHBG, and free testosterone just remains the same. So if you have low free testosterone and high SHBG, maybe it's not a good idea to be consuming high MUFA foods like avocado oil or olive oil. In terms of the olive leaf extract can probably increase testosterone because the olive leaf can, but because of the bioavailability issues from oral absorption of olive leaf extract, I don't know how big of an increase that testosterone will be. Maybe it's going to be a 50 nanogram per deciliter, maybe 100 nanogram per deciliter. If you want to run this experiment, maybe try high protein intake, like 30% of your total calories from protein, and then add the olive, because it seems to be that high protein with olive leaf extract will give you the best results, the best bang for your buck, which is also really good for fat loss because a higher protein intake has been shown to help with satiety and fat loss as well. If you're someone that wants to lose weight and speed up the metabolic rate, maybe it's a good idea to eat more protein, combine it with a strong olive leaf extract. You will get more testosterone, faster metabolic rate, higher thyroid function, all of the good stuff. All right, guys, I hope you learned something new, and I will check you in the next one. Cheers, guys.